Hello, Hollis Elementary. This is your principal. Since I can't be there in person, I am here to try a new um, technique to be in two places at once. So, at Lori Delaney's suggestion, I am trying something called a screencast using an extension to Google Chrome called Screencastify. It was super easy to install, fairly easy to use. It's really just my production um, ability that needs to improve. So this is I've had several takes. I'm hoping this is the final one. But a great way to record something if you want to save it and use it later. So I'm going to take you through some of the changes in iObservation. And as I do this presentation, I'm actually going to make my face go away because that'll actually make me super happy. So let's go into presentation mode. And there you go. I'm now gone. So that's great. So we're going to talk a little bit about differences in this year's iObservation because it has changed. So it has changed to be more streamlined and more focused. There's more of a focus on formative assessment. As I said, streamlined, concentrated. It's supposed to improve accuracy for the administrator's scoring, and it's supposed to give the teacher, you, more concrete and actionable feedback. We'll see, right? So what does that mean? There are still 4 areas in iObservation, and they're listed here on the right of the screen. The elements, there used to be 60 different elements, and now that's been reduced to 23, a lot of, as I said earlier, condensing. And your feedback, I'll say more about this later, but it's all included in an observation rather than being spread out across the year and across different types of observations. Just a little piece of information from my observation and all of the sort of thousands of data points they have that said about half of observations are focused on lecture and practice, and very few get to the cognitively complex skills. That was one reason for their change. They're hoping to get teachers to build deeper thinking skills into their instruction, and there is a focus on formative assessment that goes along well with our assessment for learning work. So the observation process has 5 steps. There's identifying the strategies that are seen in the classroom. There is identifying what the teacher is doing to instruct and what techniques. There's a piece to see how students are, if students are meeting those desired outcomes. There's the 4th piece is adaptations teachers are making for the students who aren't really meeting those desired outcomes. And then the biggest piece is this evidence. We've always wanted to see evidence, but it's actually a bigger component this year. And you might say, what is evidence? Well, evidence can be exit tickets. Evidence can be work products. It can be teacher observation. There will be a little more of a concrete focus on that, and that's something we can definitely discuss in a pre-conference. What your evidence will be, but keep that in mind as you're planning lessons. So instead of getting these separate instructional observations and then separate professional responsibilities observations, they're all embedded. Those professional responsibilities are included. So instead of getting 6 documents, if you will, you'll be back to getting 3 that all build into your final evaluation. Here's the breakdown. I don't believe this is a lot different. The planning is 10%, instruction is 35%, conditions for learning, your classroom environment, your school, your climate, your management is 35%, and then professional responsibilities are 20%. A big component of this focus model is identifying critical content. That would be unpacking your standards, setting your learning targets, necessary and critical in order to move students. So since this is such a big part of all of the work we do, it's a critical component in iObservation, and we are requiring everyone to have one goal in this area, identifying critical content. Here's a visual of how the new focus model sort of builds on itself. This one area here, Area 1 standards-based planning, feeds the instruction. Planning also sets the stage for the conditions for learning. If you don't have solid planning, management's going to be tricky. You also can see that the conditions for learning feed instruction, because if you don't have a managed classroom and students can't can't get to the instruction, then that that doesn't work. And those all sit on top of these professional responsibilities, and all of these areas are things that will be commented on in these 3 classroom observations. The requirements themselves are the same. They have not changed. You still have 3 observations in a year. I mean, it could be more, but it is unlikely that it will be more. It's usually going to be 3. And everyone, even if it is not an observation year, develops a written growth plan with 2 goals. And then those goals should be reflected on periodically, a minimum of twice, midpoint in the year and end of the year, but more frequently might benefit your professional growth even more. There are no more SLOs. SLOs are gone. That was a requirement that the state had put on districts, but since it's not a requirement, our district has dropped it. The steering committee that is mentioned here typically had been made up of a lot of high school and middle school teachers. It is supposed to be predominantly teachers and not administrators, but it is hard to get folks who are willing to commit to that. If you're looking for something, a way to have some input, when an opportunity comes up, we're definitely looking for a greater elementary membership and representation on that steering committee that helps make all of these decisions about teacher evaluation. So what's next? Growth plans need to be done by October 31st. In future years, we'll try to get those done sooner. The observation schedule, just to remind you here, for anyone who's a probationary status, year 1, 2, or 3 in our district, November 1st, February 1st, April 1st. Year 3, continuing contract teachers, these are your dates, November 1st, February 1st, and April 15th. Evaluations for probationary teachers need to be done at that same April deadline. For continuing contract, it is June. Again, reflecting a minimum of 2 times, but again, more is probably going to be better. As far as who your primary observer will be or evaluator, Katie and I will be dividing that up and getting that information out to you. There will be a split. Some of you will have one of us and some of you might have the other, but we'll definitely be working together on that. So goal setting, I'd like you to spend some time this morning working on your growth plan and setting a couple of goals. You can do more than 2, but 2 is what's required. Beyond that, it's up to you. I really would encourage you to stick to 2. 1 must be in the area of identifying critical content. And then another goal can be your choice, related to your own sort of professional growth and needs. I'm going to go back to this screen. If you're not sure what to pick, item 14, using formative assessment to track student progress, fits very nicely with the work we're doing and with the assessment for learning work. And formative assessment, feeds your instruction. Really, any of these could be chosen, but I would say anything in the yellow here, standards-based instruction, or the white, conditions for learning, would be good ones to choose your second goal from. It could be under planning, but I really feel like you're going to be better off picking something from these areas. Let's see if I got to the end of this part. So I just put a couple links in here. This is a SMART goal template. Oh, there I am again. Hey guys. So you've seen this before. I'll share this presentation, and this link can remind you about SMART goals. I'll move myself over here. So specific, measurable, attainable, or actionable, relevant, time-bound. We do want to, I don't want to be too fussy about this, but if you don't have a good sort of measurable goal, it makes the work that much harder. So I would encourage you to put some thought into that. And then we also have a 1-page summary that I'll also share with you that kind of summarizes everything that I've shared in this presentation, just in a little bit of a different format. Hopefully there's nothing contradictory to what I've already told you. And here's that visual, which I really like too. Okay, so that's it, folks. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to say, Mandy's going to record any questions you might have, and I appreciate it. And credit to Aaron McGuire and Kim O'Donnell for their help with this presentation. So you guys have a great morning, and after you finish, the time is yours. The rest of the morning, you can do some other things. Thanks, and again, I gotta move myself out of the way to end this recording, but have a great morning, and I'll see you Thursday.